Hey everyone, real quick disclaimer before this review begins. All thoughts are my own and my original thoughts. I was sent these paddles for potential with a review, not necessarily with a review being guaranteed, more to try them out, share my thoughts, and share my opinions and feels on how they play and how they perform in today's current pickleball market. With that being said, I do want to emphasize that I will remain unbiased and share my own opinions and thoughts on the paddles and those alone. At times, I might compare my opinions maybe to those of other reviewers. Say if a video or a paddle has already been launched and it's a review after launch. But if it's a review before or of the day of launch of a paddle, those thoughts will be my own and my own alone. All right. Finally, I am not being paid to do this review. Typically, I will have either an affiliate's code, a discount code, or an affiliate's link, usually in the description of these videos or in the comments or in the bio somewhere on the video. Regardless, I will also try and share these in the beginning of each video. With that being said, I hope you enjoy this and enjoy the video. What do we have here today? Wow. The Vatic Pro VSOL Pro V7 long handle. Let's dive into it. All right, so quick disclosure. I bought these with my own money. Completely unbiased still, but yeah, simply put, the price was just too good to turn down, and I really wanted to try one of both. So I was able to get my hands on the V7 long handle for the VSOL Pro and the VSOL Power. I got the Bloom in. And so far of the two shapes, the Bloom has been my preferred shape. But as someone that just as recently as last month mained an elongated paddle, I had to get an elongated as well. So let's talk about it. So first off, this is a great shape. Like the long handle version of the V7 is like the ideal elongated shape, in my opinion. I will admit it's a 5.5 handle, but I wish I could just snip the point 0.1 off of it and make it a 5.4 handle because the way the shape is, you just still have so much more room. You have like almost 5.75 of room. You just don't need it all per se, in my opinion. Yes, I have fairly big hands. I'm a fairly tall guy. I've got fairly long limbs and arms and all that. I can hit a two fine with this thing. I don't even have to put the finger up there. I prefer to put the finger up there, but I can hit the two perfectly fine with this to talk about handle. In terms of aesthetics, clean, simple, and minimalistic. That's how all the Vatic paddles have been. They do have the fun city editions. I did not get the city edition for this one. I do have a Bloom in the city edition that I show in the review for my Bloom. If you haven't checked that out, be sure to check it out. But yeah, if you want a simple paddle, you want to go, you want to play the game, you don't want to worry about what's on your paddle, can't go wrong in terms of aesthetics here. Now let's talk about performance and affordability, because I think those are the two things that this paddle does the best. So let's talk about it. So first off, in the performance category, I'm going to share now the stats for my V7 Pro. All right, now that you guys have seen the stats, let's talk about the performance. Now, in my personal playtesting, I actually switched between this and a Bloom a good amount, which, look, it's two very drastic shape differences. So normally that doesn't really work well for most people. I did it almost seamlessly. I was shocked. And that's just how similar the VSOL Pro to the VSOL Power paddles play. That it didn't even make me think about the shape difference as much as what's happening at contact. And I actually found that to be kind of a nice thing it's nice you can switch between the two kind of almost seamlessly, in my opinion. I do prefer the feeling of the power. I also prefer the Bloom shape right now more to the V7 long handle shape. For context, here's the two side by side. As you can see, I'll line them up. The V7 is a lot longer than the Bloom. And just for another comparison, yeah. So it's a good amount. Look, the handle's about the same, to be honest. I think it's pretty much the same handle. The V7 handle, you got more room for a high grip, sure. But in terms of the face, you are losing some length with the Bloom, but you're gaining some width, which it doesn't look like much width in this shot and taper, kind of with larger butt cheeks here. But, you do feel it. And it does, in my opinion, change the performance characteristics of the paddle. I think that the VSOL Pro V7 long handle, because of the shape, needed a lot of weight on the bottom. So I did a 1 gram strip of Pickleball Effects tuning tape, starting on the top of the bottom corner, going into the throat to about here. It's about 5 to 6 inches of the 1 gram tape. And I put in the stats piece earlier, the changes that this added to the paddle. And I overall found these changes just made the sweet spot fly open compared to what it was. These paddles play good stock, to be clear. Like I could play the stock and play fine, but this additional weight really helped me. And I found it to make the paddle more enjoyable personally. So that's what I went with. As for kind of my experience, I think just about any game style can play with this paddle. I think that if you're someone that likes an elongated paddle, this is the paddle I would steer you to more than the Power Series version of this, which I have hit not as much, but briefly, just because I think that one's a little slower in the hand. I think this one, you're getting a little less weight, a little less foam, and you're getting a little more speed in the hands, which I think is an important thing that isn't talked about enough with elongated paddles because they are slower in the hand. Like with the Bloom, I go the Power Series all day because I like that solidness and the muted feeling of this foam more than I do the VSOL Pro foam personally, in terms of core. And I just like my paddle being more ready out of the box. I add my little, strip up top, and I'm good to go with my Bloom. Whereas this took a little more tinkering because it's the VSOL Pro series and they come in on the lighter side. This actually came in, I think it's 7.9 ounces static weight too, which is really light for an elongated paddle. So but yeah, so I enjoyed it. I felt I could play my regular game. I've been playing a good amount of left side lately in both men's and mixed doubles, and an elongated paddle like that is usually the go-to for most left siders. I'm kind of going against the grain and leaning back more towards the wide body right now, but you know, it's what works for you. I also play a lot of straight up and I play some right too. It's personal preference and what works for you then and there. I found both these paddles, in particular the long handle V7, could answer that question in every scenario. And I think that's the big thing here. In terms of playing, I felt I could play my game. I didn't have to adjust to the paddle. I felt the power was just right. I felt the pop was just right. And I felt that the overall feeling and plushness of the paddle was just right. A lot of times when I review elongated paddles, they're often, either too poppy or too powerful for me, and I have to adjust my control and dial them in more. This one, I felt out of the box. I could play my game, and I really didn't have to change all that much, and it was nice. I enjoyed it a lot, and yeah, other than that, I would say that, after discount code at 99.99, if you're unsure, to be honest, just buy them both. Find the shape you like and buy one of both and try them out. At worst, you're out $198. Or I'm sorry, $199.98. Like in terms of the paddle landscape, there are paddles that cost almost double that for one paddle, right now. I think that this deal is an incredible deal that you should utilize. If you're someone that wants a Gen 4 paddle, maybe you're coming from, a Gen 3 paddle that you had core crush or it's dead after a few months, these things, they have good grit, they have great spin, they have great power, great poppiness, and great durability. I have put a lot of time on my Bloom in particular, and that thing still plays like it did out of the box. I put a good amount of time on my V7 long handle. It still plays like it did out of the box. I don't feel I'm losing next to any grit. I don't feel like I'm losing a lot of performance per se. Yeah, I'm getting the occasional scuff here or there or something like that. But overall, I feel like it's a very good paddle. It's a performer and it definitely packs a punch. I think if you're someone that's looking for a paddle on a budget that performs, you don't want to do a bunch of research, you don't want to deal with, oh, this certification I can, this I can't. You got the USAP certification, you've got look, 99 bucks. Gen 4, these have been proven to be the more durable of the paddles compared to the Gen 3 and Gen 2 even, and they play great. They genuinely play great. I have not had any issues with either of my Vatics so far, and you know, it's a review that I thought I would say a lot more for than I did, but here we are. So, yeah, it's an easy recommendation for me. You really can't go wrong at just about any level of pickleball. And let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. You know, did you like it? Did you end up getting a Vatic? Did you not? If not, which way did you go? I know that the Rhombus Quanta is a competitor to this series right now. I put brief time on my friend's R5, and that's about it. I'm looking forward to getting more time on those down the road here. And who knows, maybe we'll do a comparison video down the road. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, be sure to let me know in the comments. Adios.